Good morning, here we are talking to Harry Bourchier, top 20 Australian ranked male tennis player, inside the top 350 in the world, in Perth. Been here for 2 weeks quarantining, but we welcome Harry back to the shores of Perth. What are you doing in Perth, by the way, Harry?
Yeah, obviously completed my quarantine yesterday, so fresh out of quarantine. Pretty long 2 weeks, to be honest, but not too dissimilar to time on the road, like a lot of hotel courts type of action, so wasn't too bad, but yeah, by the end it's pretty tough.
I can imagine that. Now, you've been overseas, Portugal, I understand, playing some tournaments. You had a great start to the year as well, and we were just talking off camera about your start to the year, playing some of the lead-up tournaments to the Australian Open. Your first ever ATP 250 tournament main draw came across your good mate Nick Kyrgios, and there was a lot going on in that match. He refused to go back on court after a couple of calls of a time violation. How did you find that experience? One, playing your first ATP main draw, but also playing against your good mate Nick Kyrgios.
Yeah, no, it was really exciting. Obviously, to get a win first round against fellow Aussie Mark Polmans, and then playing Nick second round. So yeah, really excited, especially playing on that stage. Like, I played a lot of practice sets, but nothing compares to playing an actual match. And what better to do in Australia, I suppose.
Absolutely. Now, talk us through what you've been doing over the last couple of weeks. Like we made mention, you've been quarantining here for the last 14 days. Never comfortable to quarantine, but what was the experience like in the fair shores of Portugal?
Yeah, no, Portugal wasn't too bad. A lot of restrictions there still. Through Europe, it's pretty much takeaway food only, but some places. But yeah, weather was a little bit better than main shore Europe, but yeah, it wasn't too bad.
And your form throughout the start of this season, obviously stepping up in class, playing a lot of the ATP 250 events. What have you put your form down to this past 12 months?
Yeah, I mean, we had a long coronavirus break last year. I didn't travel with the restrictions and everything like that. I was training in Melbourne with Thanasi and a little bit with Andrew Harris throughout last year. So a lot of consistency with that. Good sparring partner, obviously. And then, yeah, really motivated to play this year. Played strong at the start of the year. Then I went overseas and got a little bit injured first week, so that hindered things a little bit.
Always tricky when you get a little bit of injury, certainly playing overseas. Such are the volume of matches that you're playing. I mean, what do you do to keep the body refreshed? Obviously a little bit of a niggle now, but generally what's your recovery look like, your recovery program?
Yeah, sort of. I mean, depends if you win or lose the match. If you lose, you probably try and do a bit more work. Go out and hit the practice court for the rest of the week and really try and do better next week. Overseas, I didn't do so great, so that was me most of the time. And then a lot of downtime as well, because you're just in your hotel room and at the court. So professionalism is at its peak, I reckon, for most players right now.
So what do you do during the quarantine period? I mean, if you locked it inside that room 14 days by yourself, I mean, do you have a program that you go through, or do you just sit back and eat Tim Tams and watch a lot of Netflix?
Yeah, obviously you've got to watch the diet a bit more, I reckon, because you're not walking around and walking off calories. So yeah, the food is a big one, trying to eat clean, obviously stretching, yeah, just trying to keep your mind active and doing what you can to be fresh, essentially.
So with the prize money, it's important obviously that you need to be supplementing your income to be able to travel and play at the highest level. Between tournaments, there's not a lot of money on the ATP really in the lower ranks, the challenges or the ITF events. So how do you supplement your income?
Yeah, I mean, you got to make most of your good weeks. So on the dull weeks, the low weeks, yeah, that's not too much. But yeah, trying to maximise your good weeks, and when you're playing well, you try and maximise that prize money. So, I mean, yeah, there's no way around it. It is what it is at the moment. It's not great. So we'll see what happens with the new organisation association. I think that would be good to get up and running, but yeah, we'll see where that goes.
Now, you made mention about the Breakaway Council. You've got the ATP Council that Roger and Rafa are part of, and Novak Djokovic has formed somewhat of a Breakaway Council, predominantly to look after the players around getting a share of the prize money, getting a share of that ATP money pool. Has there been much spoken about that to you and the players sort of sitting inside that top 500 in the world, and how that's going to actually look and feel?
Yeah, at the moment they're just getting an idea of who's on board. They've had a few meetings. One was actually last week, and just highlighting what the players are missing out on and what it could be. So it's tough for those top players because they have sponsorships and all that on the line as well. But Novak Djokovic obviously makes a lot of money off the court, and yeah, he's jumped on board and created this, and now they're building a team, a proper team. So I mean, that's one step forward, and Novak is putting his money into it, so he's going to be spending a lot of money on that, so he's definitely invested in it.
Wonderful initiative, and I think anything that can actually help support the lower tier of tennis to make some money and make a living at it, I think it's a wonderful thing. Let's talk about what the next 6 months looks like for you. Obviously, restrictions are lifted here in Australia. We're pretty much covered as far as the COVID is concerned, but what does the next 6 months look like for you? Where are you going to straight after you leave Perth?
Yeah, going to go back to Hobart, Tasmania, where I grew up and where I'm from. Spent most of my time in Melbourne last year in the lockdown, and to be honest, it was pretty miserable with the restrictions. So looking forward to going back to Tassie, and hopefully definitely no restrictions down there. So Melbourne's a bit more high risk. So yeah, I mean, getting away from that, I got a bit of an injury, so try and look after that. And then if I do go overseas, it probably won't be until later in the year when I'm freshened up and restrictions around the world have eased a little bit.
Harry Bourchier, we've adopted him and his brother Ed, been playing State League pennants for Alexander Park over the last couple of years. Looking forward to you really just breaking into that top 150. We know you've got a lot of talent, and looking forward to all the WA public getting behind you. So well done, good luck, and we'll look forward to seeing some great results over the coming 12 months.
Thank you, appreciate it, guys.